This is WFPRLP Franklin on 102.9 FM.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Time being 6:29 on my watch. This is the March 6th, 2024 Master Plan Committee. The meeting tonight will be held here at the Municipal Building on the third floor training room at 355 East Central Street. A note to residents, all citizens are welcome to attend public board and committee meetings in person, and these meetings will also be live streamed by Franklin TV and shown on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. Recordings of the meetings are also available on Franklin TV's Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel. Additionally, in an effort to maximize citizen engagement opportunities, citizens will be able to continue to participate remotely via phone or Zoom. The link to access the March 6th, 2024 subcommittee meeting is attached to the agenda. Or if you want to call in phone number, it's call 1-929-205-6099. That's 1-929-205-6099. And enter the ID 88609-107278. And that again is 886-09-107-278, and then press pound. So first thing on our agenda, we only have a few items to discuss tonight, is subcommittee updates. Kobe, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, we just met. Prior to this, we were not able to get quorum, unfortunately, but we had a small discussion, just Janelle and I, with the facilities director, where we gained some useful information that we'll bring back to the subcommittee and then the larger group in regards to how we think about maintenance of facilities as well as spatial needs of the facilities and a current assessment of where we're at. So just sort of filling in and providing some color to that report that we received.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Janelle, land use and zoning.
Thank you, Glenn. So we had a joint public outreach meeting with the Sustainability Subcommittee at the library, and it was well attended.
Yes, it was.
And it was. We got some good insights, including some folks who came to basically say, "We're here to tell you." Stop growth and stop building and developing. And when we would talk with them and say, do you like seeing empty lots and derelict buildings? And they said no. And I said, well, we're trying to focus smart growth in the right areas, and people were positive. So I hope it was a good outcome of at least that group that joined us that day. So even as a subcommittee, we talked a lot about taking that kind of thinking and messaging forward. And we just met on Monday as a group. So we went over survey takeaways specific to land use and zoning. And then just one of the things I'll have as an example is that we, in the survey was noted, people requested a lot of single family was the highest request for what type of housing do you see. But when you added up all of the different varieties of multifamily, that far surpassed the single family. So those kinds of things, we're trying to take the survey data and really read into it and analyze it a bit to inform the master plan. We were on the like rethinking our messaging and planning for our next public outreach event, which is going to be Saturday, March 16th at the Winter Farmers Market.
Oh, cool.
Just land use and zoning. Things like not do you want affordable housing in Franklin, but we are going to be adding affordable housing and multifamily housing in Franklin. Where should it be? You know, where are the locations that most make sense? Just trying to think, we're refining our messaging there. We went over activities for, in Monday's meeting, activities for the upcoming like big open house on the 23rd, so we'll get into that later in the agenda.
Yes.
And then even as a group, we talked about, we had questions for this full committee for this group. Things like, some of these came out of the library event. People couldn't figure out on the website where to sign up for a master plan email, where they might get notified of these things. So we just wanted to ask that and double check that. Someone had asked if the survey results would be posted publicly, and could we do that in advance of the full master plan going out? And then we had some topics that we wanted to be exploring going ahead, but they overlap with other subcommittees. And are these topics that maybe we can have on a future agenda of this meeting where we sort of brainstorm on them? Things like parking, and what does this mean for land use, for circulation, for economic development, for sustainability? Things like the SNET expansion and how that might impact all of our various subcommittees. Can we brainstorm on things like, as a land use subcommittee, if we're focusing on the crossing, or let's say we expand the downtown commercial district as a proposal, what does that mean for all the other subcommittees and groups? You know, we're just trying to think about, now we're getting into the meat of it,
Big picture stuff.
and how do our subcommittees impact the other groups' work? So it was a lot, but it felt like a very productive meeting on Monday, so I wanted to get that all out there.
We can definitely add much of that to, not our next, but probably the one after the 23rd in April, to discuss and actually bring most of what, not just your subcommittee, but the various subcommittees, those agenda items that they need, kind of overarching questions that affect everyone as a whole together in the April meeting.
Right.
But those are valid questions. And I think as far as the survey is concerned, Amy, is there a way we can get that?
Yeah, so I can answer two questions really quick. So the website, when you go to the main page, when you first open the website, a box pops up. It says join our email list. If you go into that and you put your information in, another box will pop up and you can choose what you want. And that's where you would find master plan. And you can,
Okay.
so it's right on the front page. It's not on the master plan page. It's on, because they clumped it all together to, so you just go in once and you click all the committees you want to hear from, and it stays that way. Second one is, yes, we're currently in the process of putting together a summary of the survey, because really the output was extremely long, so our plans were to get the summary out and available on the website.
Great.
That's
Those would be
good.
my two things.
Would it be possible to generate graphs off of much of that information? Because I know we could actually use some of the graphs at the 23rd event.
We did receive some graphs.
Okay.
I mean, some of them did give us graphs, so
Okay.
we'll have to see how to export it.
Meg, you had your hand up for a question real quick? Meg? Did you have a question
Sorry,
for?
my phone, I did, thanks. My
Okay.
phone was just coming off off of mute. Janelle, thanks for pointing out that the collaborative effort of looking at the impact of decisions being made across groups. There's actually a comment that came up in a discussion about master plan while I was actually at our Children's Museum of Franklin pop-up yesterday. And someone was asking me questions about master plan and how things are going. And that she had asked somebody within the planning board about what a specific decision and if the thoughts, if they consider things like the impact on the school districts and decisions that they make. And if they have all the data behind that, and the answer was no. So I think this might be an area that can be flagged going forward, and maybe processes going forward of how can we better collaborate to across the board understand what everybody's doing, and hopefully we can start that through the master plan process.
Okay. Thanks, Meg. I'm sure we can
Thanks.
definitely start focusing on that mostly after March when we get into April.
Yeah.
We can bring all that together, and I
Absolutely.
would love each chair of each subcommittee to put together a list of items that topics that they would like to cover, and we can build an agenda off of that. As far as any other land use and zoning items, Janelle?
No,
That was a great event, by the way. I'm glad I attended. I had a very hearty discussion with many of the people that showed up to that event, and it was well received. And some people actually intentionally went out of their way to come and meet up with us that day, and it was good. That was keen.
Right.
That's exactly what I'm looking forward to. So, and you actually paired up, as you mentioned, with sustainability. Gino, you want to give a report on sustainability from that?
Yes, well, just briefly, I agree, that was a great event. It was very productive. Just another example of survey result to look at on transportation. Similar to the way housing went, while sidewalks was barely the #1 area that people wanted to see more of, roadways were second. But if you look at all the other choices, commuter rail, trails, those things, it far outnumbered roadways in the responses. So that was it. But also, sustainability is meeting this Monday coming.
Okay, good.
coming up.
So you have a meeting on Monday. Good. Just a note to the chairs of the subcommittees to just be mindful to get agendas out at least 72 hours or 48 hours prior to the meeting. So Amy has it so we can get them officially on the schedule. Thank you, Gino. Meg, while I have you here for open space, cultural, historical resources, recreation.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. So I don't really have an update right now. We did have our open space and recreation open public input session where we had a walk on the rail trail. We unfortunately did not have anybody come, but we did have a few great conversations with people on the trail. The weather was a little iffy that day, which I think certainly affected the outcome there. But we had some good information from the people that we spoke to, which is great. And we are looking forward to doing a little bit more. I will be reaching out to our subcommittee to schedule our next meeting and after we get some guidance today on planning for the 23rd.
Perfect. Thank you, Meg. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
As far as the Housing and Economic Subcommittee is concerned, our chair, Ken Elmore, couldn't be available for tonight, so I'll add to our next agenda to get an update from him. Which moves us on to our next agenda item, is to approve the meeting minutes for December 13th, 2023 and February 7th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All right. Clerk, roll, please.
Bruce,
Yes.
Meg,
Sorry, having troubles coming off on mute. Yes, thank you.
thank you. Gino,
Yes.
Rick, Janelle,
yes.
Eric, are you out there?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Is Jen there yet?
Yes,
Yeah.
Is Jen there? Jen?
there she is.
Hey, Jen.
Oh,
Did she
you just
wave it?
didn't hear her.
Oh,
Give it.
Yep.
Oh, she's waving.
thumbs
That's
up.
good.
A thumbs up works, Jen, if
Joe.
you want. There you go. Thumbs
Joe.
up for you.
Is Erin out there?
No.
No,
Mm.
Erin, okay. Clerk, yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Like,
Good. I think
Yes,
we've all got a lot in
5.
our minds tonight. All
passed.
right, perfect. Thank you, clerk. We're taking roll, and that leads us to our last and final discussion item for the night. Now, for the most part, again, in lieu of time, in respect to the members of the budget subcommittee, or the budget joint subcommittee, we're going to be some brevity by Bader and Barrett. I know Jill's here tonight. I see Jeff in the audience as well from Bader and Barrett. The third item is planning for the workshop meeting on March 23rd, 2024. One of the things I want to kind of state right out of the gate is that since there are so many different aspects to this open house on that Saturday, what we would ideally like to do, and this is through a discussion with Jill and Bader and Barrett, was to form a group from our master plan committee that's kind of a non-quorum group that's going to be basically party planners, and who can kind of meet with Bader and Barrett off to the side at chosen times between today and the 22nd to kind of come up with a general plan, layout, and anything necessary to kind of work towards planning the 23rd, which is part of the reason why it's kind of hard to do all that in a big, large group like this. So we decided to divvy it up. Jill?
Yes, hello, good evening, Chair, good evening, Committee, Amy, Brian. Hi, Jeff. So, Glenn, thank you for laying that out. What we would want to do is we do want to get any materials that need to be printed to the town planning staff by Monday, March 18th, ideally, to give time for printing. What we'd like to really get from the whole committee tonight, if we have just a couple minutes, is just to have some consensus and hear the discussion on, and maybe this has already been ironed out, and it will help us to help the town staff prepare materials and activities, but what the main, I guess, objective in terms of engagement would the committee like to see? What do we want the public to be able to provide input on or to react to? In general, we envision providing 24 by 36 type boards that could contain maps. They could contain the vision statement or various key issues, opportunities related to the different elements that people can react to with stickers, sticky notes. Anyway, that's just sort of general overview of some ideas, but we kind of wanted to hear what you guys have been thinking, because I know you're very active and engaged, and sometimes in between these meetings, there's more going on than we can keep up with knowing. So we're here to kind of listen, and then we can go from there.
So just to give some general information, Jill and Jeff, the room, and this is for the master plan as a whole and anyone listening, the room to which we're going to be purposing is known as the Alumni Memorial Room at Dean College. The room is approximately the size of this room times about a third. So it's a little bit bigger. How would you say, Janelle?
Yeah,
But it's actually bigger than this.
it's bigger. It's
much
maybe
bigger than this
twice.
room.
It's like as long as this, but square.
But square.
It's maybe twice as big.
It's a very pleasant room. It's got some very antiquity appeal to it because it is Dean College after all. It is immediately off the foyer from the gymnasium as well as the main street, School Street. So it does have a great flow of traffic. And there are doors on either end of the room. So as far as traffic is concerned, we could in fact actually have a main entrance and a rear entrance, and people can kind of ebb and flow through the location. The general thought was to take the space and kind of divvy it up into corners, and each subcommittee would ultimately have their own little section of the world to answer and engage the public in whatever whatever engaging way they so choose to. But also as part of the event, Dean College has kindly offered up refreshments, so that's been also an attraction for that. But as far as what each subcommittee is going to be charged to do, I've kind of left that up to them to come up with clever ideas, because I jokingly said I wanted to make this kind of a competition. But to you, Jill, as well as Bader and Barrett, one of the things I'm kind of hoping for, if there is an opportunity, is to get some ideas from yourselves who've actually already been a part of several of these types of events, and give us your feedback. And I know this is kind of what this side group is ultimately going to be accomplishing. If we had a space like the one I just described, what would be the best layout based on experience?
So I'm going to let Jeff Max Tudis maybe share some
Okay.
insight on that.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Jill. Yeah, like Jill said, there's several ways to do this. Like I think I heard some good questions today. I think it was Jeanette on affordable housing. Like if you wanted to ask that, say, tell us where affordable housing should go. You know, a way to do that would provide a map, you know, with sticky notes and things like that. But we think, you know, one important thing to do is no matter what technique or methods we use, it's important for people to see other people's reactions and input, because it stimulates them. So it's not as good for someone, you know, to write something down and put it in a box no one can see, right? So it's whatever method we use. If we use, you know, maps or stickies, or, you know, if you want to say, you know, here are the 5 issues, or 5, you know, or if you want to talk about goals, you know, what are the most important goals or issues? Dots. It's important for people to see what other people are saying, you know, so it's open input and feedback from everyone. So I think that's critical. And there's just a lot of, you know, there's a lot of details, you know, whether we're using tablets or maps, or, you know, putting on tables, and how many easels we have, or you put on walls. There's a lot of, like you said, party planning, a lot of those kind of details to work out.
Okay, and I think we can work much of that on the side, outside of tonight's meeting. So I'll definitely touch base with Amy and Jill and Jeff in regards to that. But before Jen and Eric, I asked, I know you have your hands raised. What I'm looking for is for some feedback tonight for anybody who may be interested in being part of that small group kind of party plan, the 23rd.
Just one other comment about that small group. It will be a Zoom only, so it's not trying to make it a little more easy
Efficient.
accessible.
Trying to make things a little more
so
efficient,
it
yeah.
won't be coming here and all that, but it'll probably mainly be on Zoom. So just to let you know.
So I tell you what,
Have any volunteers?
we do. Jen, you had your hand raised?
I will volunteer. That wasn't initially why I had my hand raised,
Okay.
but I would love to help. I apologize. I'm at the FSPA and there's a lot of noise around me. My daughter's in a rehearsal. I'm trying to go to a quieter place. So one of I know that all the committees owe thoughts on what the engagement questions or activities could be, which we can provide, and Janelle in the land use group already has sort of a list going, and we'll continue to develop that. Would like, first of all, what's the deadline for what those ideas are, so that the party planning committee can really help develop that with Beta and Barrett's expertise. But I think the question I have is, you know, it's less than 20 days until the 23rd. I haven't seen much of anything in terms of publicizing the event. And for this to be effective, we need to get as many bodies in this room as humanly possible. And I'm wondering what the plan is for that social, you know, whatever the campaign is, however we're getting the information out to the public, how often are emails coming from the town to people's inboxes? What are we doing to try to reach as many people as possible and make them aware that this is happening, so people feel like they even have the option to go and get it on their calendars now? Because if they find out 3 days before the event, it's already too late. And then second to that, while many people are familiar with Dean, I think what needs to accompany the publication of the event is a site plan. Where is this very clear? Where's this building on campus? Where are the entries? Where are good you can come in here, you can come in there, but Dean is a campus, and people who aren't familiar with it need clear kind of wayfinding, so it's not a question the day of the event. So those are my two, I guess, questions: is can we develop that, and how is the information getting out on a daily basis at this point? I would say.
Yep. Jen, just to give you some explanation as to what's currently going on, I did actually make a poster per se. I actually emailed it to Amy. That's already been posted at the library as well as the municipal building. And seeing where else, Amy, did you set it up?
I've got the senior center in the library, and then in the municipal building, I'm gonna get it out on social media. I'm gonna do an email blast with it, and then it'll be also on the master plan website.
Okay. And I had an interview with Steve Sherlock from Franklin TV yesterday. That interview, which has specifically to do with the 23rd event as well as the master plan update, should be live today, and that's going to go out across the board to various websites as well as Steve's page, and then and really it's going to take kind of a combined effort of the master plan committee to make efforts to reach out to various places and friends and neighbors to make this event as public as we can. I will be. I heard somebody say something. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, sorry. Just to build on this, Glenn. I mean, can we ask that other than sort of these automated efforts, or that I know very early on we had identified representatives for stakeholder engagement, representing many different either committees or departments or boards or you name it through town, and I think it would be beneficial to send targeted messaging to those, at least the leaders of those groups. So I'm just thinking of Franklin Rec and the Disability Commission and the police department, and like very kind of targeted, hey, this is happening, not just sort of the automated stuff, or if they happen to see it on social media, because not everyone is, on Facebook all the time.
Yeah, that's actually one of the feedbacks we got, Jennifer, from Saturday, was people who didn't specifically hear about events through social media. They were either found out through word of mouth or through through a friend, and that's just because there are still people who read the newspaper. And
exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
thank you.
To Jen's point, getting the information out there, I can actually reach out to Alan Earls and see if we could run that repeatedly on the Observer.
Yeah, that would be good.
And if that becomes any type of a cost to keep running that, I'd pick that tab up myself.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So one last thing, and Eric, I apologize, I'll get to you in a second. Is there anyone else that would be interested to join the small group? So it's at the moment, I'm adding myself to the list. Jen, you're gonna join on. Is there anyone else who'd like to join on? Janelle, anyone else? Okay. And anyone out in Zoom land? What else? Eric, you had a question?
Yeah, I've raised my hand, before, not necessarily volunteer. I normally would, but the next 2 weeks are a bit busy for me.
Okay.
Just one thought that I have on this too is these events that I've seen and that I participated in the past are not only really good to collect feedback, but it's to present information too. And a lot of people don't know what a master plan is and what the role is of master plan within our community and how it sets out the vision for what we want to be. And so I do think it would be, is the party planner group, talks about this and the sequence of everything, I would really highly recommend, there be an opportunity for, the consultants or town staff to present the information and the importance to what this document is, and then have these, as I foresee it, is to have these separate stalls. And these separate sections where people can after there's a formal presentation at the beginning, people can mingle and they can go to one section or another, and they can go to the topics that they're most interested in for the topic. So that's kind of the vision that I've been seeing, and wish I could participate more to help with party planning. But those are my thoughts I want to get out there.
No, actually, that's a very good point, Eric. I agree with you. It's very relevant in the sense that it would kind of bring a synopsis to the public as they come in and learn a little bit about the master plan, and then they can actually break off to the various groups to find the answers to whatever questions or give any input that they may have specific to those groups. Amy, you had a point?
Yes, through the chair, and exactly what Eric is saying. This is something that the party planners are going to discuss, to deal with some of the layout there, having intro table on what is master plan. So I talked briefly with Beta and Barrett this week about it, but really get into more of the details with the quorum group, and I'll be part of that group too. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amy, now, Jill, I believe yourself, is Jeff going to be joining in on these discussions too, as far as setup is concerned? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. No.
Good. Jill.
Yeah.
Jeff. So at the moment, I've got Jen, myself, Janelle, Amy, Jill, Jeff, and looking for maybe one or even two other people if they'd be interested in joining on. So I can also.
I'll do it.
Do you know? Okay. All right.
Yeah, this will be fun.
It will be fun. All right. So I think that pretty much wraps up our small group for party planners. You guys, this group will be receiving an email from Amy and myself as to when the first official Zoom meeting will be for us to sit down and come up with ideas. But in the meantime, one of the things I'd like to throw out to the individuals who are going to be part of the party planning group is to kind of sit down and hash out some of your own thoughts and ideas, just like Eric threw out the idea of throwing in kind of a sixth table. Based off the description of the room that I said earlier, throw out ideas and start getting things on paper so that when we do actually meet in Zoom, we've got a plan to work off. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so to that point, since we had talked about ideas from our subcommittee on Monday, I started jotting them all down, and then I put it in a shared Google Drive in our master plan committee, including general ones for the whole group. And I have columns for the activity idea, what we hope to get out of it, and then what our material needs are. So that's all in there, and there's 6 things I already put together. Just ideas, and I figured we can sort of, as a full committee, and whether it's the chair's inputting or if there's other people that have ideas, we can sort of have the long list and then narrow it down if we wanted to.
Yep, it's always better to have more than less.
Do that kind of thing, and then I also put in there an action log, things like make the location map, put it on a flyer, make the flyers. But if we already have a poster, I guess it's just a question of getting the location map out there.
Amy, do you have the picture I sent you? Can you bring that up?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm not on my computer.
Okay.
And I think
I'll email. We can email it to you.
I think we probably do want to direct folks to the School Street entrance of the room as a primary because A, it's accessible, and B, there is that lobby space there, which is perfect for a welcome table. Like that's where we can have what is a master plan? Imagine Franklin in 2035.
Right.
Right. That's sort of the greet people.
And then we can have the other end of the room as the exit.
As the exit.
Yeah.
Right. So that can sort of go in the location plan.
Yeah, we can keep the flow. Absolutely. No, that sounds grand. And as far as the address is concerned, I did post it in the flyer I sent to Amy. It's actually 60 School Street, for the record, for anyone who wants to know. And that 60 School Street entrance is actually the main entrance to the gym and to Alumni Memorial Hall. So yeah, that's the best location. As far as parking is concerned, I did ask Ken if people could park at Jones Parking, and unfortunately that's not allowed, but I'll talk to him again. There is parking at the library as well as parking on the streets, and that's probably going to be one of our biggest challenges. But there are also other events going on that day, and I actually spoke with Rachel last night at the election. She said that Jake Achencloss is going to be in town, And I'm gonna reach out to him and see if maybe we can't convince him to come by and pay us a visit at the same time, so. All right, but that's about it. The small group, will be getting an email. Other than that, all the rest to be hashed out through that small group. The party planners, that's a good way of putting it. Amy, you have anything else?
Nope.
Jill or Jeff?
I would just say, looking at the timeline,
Yeah.
you know, to keep things on track, Friday, Monday, Tuesday would
Friday.
maybe be my preference, depending on people's schedules,
Okay.
to at least have this an initial small group meeting.
Okay, no, that sounds good. So Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Unfortunately, I teach during the day, so it's really hard for me to break away other than noontime. So we would have-
Noontime works well with me, but I don't know the other folks who volunteered, or
Okay.
if we need to do an evening.
We'll,
I don't want to bog down this whole group with all of our personal schedules. Can we get like a
Yep.
survey or Google survey or email going? Thanks.
okay. Actually, Jen, what works for you? Just while we have everybody here. What times work best for you?
It depends on the day.
Okay.
That's why it
Okay.
it depends on the day of the week. And
Let's just do a survey. We'll send out a group email to
Okay.
everybody.
Yeah.
To find out,
All right,
you
we
know,
can,
what's best.
everyone can expect to get that
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Great. Anyone else from the master plan committee? Comments, needed information, or anything in regards to the 23rd event? Bruce?
You know what I'm gonna say, so you don't wanna ask me.
Well, how about you go ahead and say it, Bruce?
Motion to adjourn.
Need a
So
second.
moved.
I need a second. Need a second.
Second.
Okay.
second.
Yep, roll call. Hold on.
Second, I think you said so moved.
All right. Bruce,
Yes.
Meg? Is she still here?
I think she left.
Okay.
She went to the
Gino?
other-
Yes.
Rick?
Yep.
Janelle?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Mel left, so she's absent. Kobe and myself, yes. We're adjourned. Thank you, folks. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Talk soon.